Hello, one and all. Welcome to the 7 Tackle set. A very, very unusual setup with me hosting, but also not joined by Matrix, not joined by Braino. After a very, very poor Scott Drinkwater performance, they both sacked it in. They've just given up. 2 games into the season, they're done. They've said, we can't do it anymore. So I've wheeled in the 18th man. I've wheeled in who I referred to as Damien Cook in Origin, coming in and doing a stint in the centre. It's Aman from Aman Talks NRL SuperCoach. My friend, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
No, mate, I'm all good. Appreciate the call up. And unfortunately, I am a Scott Drinkwater owner and VCer. So the boys have, escaped from the ire of the VC Kalen Ponga, which was you. But I've had to. This is a stitch up. I basically call this. But no, all good. I'm doing very well.
Yeah, look, I'm smug at the best of times, and it's tenfold worse when I get something right and the boys get something wrong. So I can very much imagine that that's the reason why they've jumped off today. But back on deck in a couple of days' time. Yeah, mate. First things first. How did Vegas go for you? Obviously, yeah, you said Scott Drinkwater VC, which probably doesn't lead you off on the best foot. But did you have Lukey? Did you have guys in that stead? I know that you were popping off in our group chat when Lukey scored, so I would imagine that you owned him.
Yeah, I'm a Lukey owner. Look, really apart from Drinkwater, everything else was okay. So Train Mooney I owned, which is awesome. So that was good to see a big score from him and Lukey. So those two kind of mid-rangers came through. I did change my team to get Marnie in. He did solid enough with 52. I played Setu 2 for his 60, so that's fine. I have Tom Chester as well. Purdue maybe one of the slightly low lights, I guess, only the 42 points, but I'm not really concerned because I think he still looked good, albeit the Cowboys themselves didn't look all that great. And I kind of, in my head, I think I escaped not owning a couple of guys like, I guess, Ponga, but I didn't. But Crichton, Crichton was quite popular in the community. And I think he did a lot. To see him come away with 68, I actually thought, I think I might have got away with one there because, if I watched that game, I would have thought, well, to be fair, you could argue he should have been maybe minus 10 points. But also, considering he was staying on the field, I thought 68 was actually okay as a non-owner. But all in all, solid start, but yeah, just obviously missed out on KP.
Yeah, obviously, if you don't own Crichton, it's a clear send off. Not even a sim in, just a send off. But if you own him, just a love tap, nothing to move forward. So, I'm very similar to you, my friend. I had Purdue at 5'8". It was probably the biggest disappointment for me. But 42 in pure BP is not the end of the world. Marnie as well. You're quite harsh on him. I believe you had some very choice words for him at about the 60th minute mark. And but no, he came through, pulled in. So yeah,
came through. Yeah. Came through in the end. Did kick a ball dead though towards the end of the game, which I didn't like. But yeah, I was saying on
the recap show, mate, he loves a short ball to a forward. So hopefully one of those comes off every now and then because it was so frustrating to watch him in attack. But let's get some housekeeping out of the way. You're here watching the obviously Teamless Tuesday recap. We're doing these ones every single week. I think, Aman, have you committed to every single week as well?
Yeah, I've tried to commit to every single week, although I know in the next couple of weeks I actually probably won't be able to. So if people, I need to set up my channel, but yeah.
We can dominate the space. We don't have to compete with you for a couple of weeks, but it's great. But no, Aman obviously does some wonderful things on his channel. It's linked in the description as well, so go check that out. He did a live at 6:30, so doing a double stint. But let's get into some housekeeping. The league code, unlimited code, $500, 500 big ones for all you guys out there. If you are a loyal Patreon subscriber, $1,000 for you if you win this one. 768857. Leaving that one open for just a couple more weeks, and then we'll close it. Moving on from there. Yes, make sure that you do like the video, you are subscribed, and comment your favorite Teamless Tuesday fallout from today. There's plenty to chat about, and we'll reply to pretty much all of them within the next couple of days as well. And final bit of housekeeping, the Patreon. Get around it, $12 a month, weekly Q&As, private Q&As as well, answering all your questions, exclusive articles and shows, our weekly trades and teams, the premium Discord access, the position rankings and analysis, and the subscriber-only league where we're giving away some unreal prizes. All that and a whole lot more for about $3 a week. My friend, let's get into it. On today's show, we're going to be chatting news, be chatting winners and losers, be chatting questions from the lovely people in the comments as well. But let's go around the news, my friend. Around the league. There's plenty to talk about. And Around the League is sponsored by Ryan from Astute Newstead. For your residential home loan needs, use promo code Insight for a free obligation, totally $0 spend. Chat with Ryan, chat all things your finances. My friend, love TLT because we get some really, really fun push notifications at about 12 o'clock from the Daily Telegraph with all their early news. And the first one, mate, Jaden Campbell, he was in doubt. That's how it was framed. It was framed as in doubt, and then an hour later confirmed to miss 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Not what you want to see. 5% ownership for JC. So you look at the guys like Nico, you look at the guys like Sam Walker. They're probably the obvious ones. I put on Twitter that I actually really loved Adam Dewey as a bit of a pod shout. If you could put up round 1 bye, Tigers have an unreal draw, and I think he links up with KPP quite well. But Jaden Campbell, was he a mainstay in your team? Was it throwing a spanner in the works for you? Because on this podcast, one host, he was not a my guy. He was super keen on Jaden Campbell, and so Brano had to pivot. But what about you, my friend?
Yeah, look, I didn't have a team that had Campbell in the end. I am a big fan of him though, and especially the draw looked really good. A lot of games in Queensland, so it is a bit of a blow for those who did start off with him. But I think he's an expensive guy, so you can kind of move you around, and we've got plenty of cheapies now unearthed, so you should be able to restructure your squad. You could always drop down to Sam Walker. He's probably the gun of choice I think a lot of people are looking at. But I do like the shout of Adam Dewey. I think a lot of people in the community are also banking on like a West Tigers resurgence. 2% owned Adam Dewey. If you can cop, Ethan Sanders for a week, or you've already played Dan Atkinson, fair enough. May as well go take a punt on Adam Dewey. We know that he's got a pretty SuperCoach friendly game as well. But no, he didn't change my particular team setup. It will be a big loss. And yeah, being the sick, twisted person I am, as soon as I saw him go down, started Googling Gold Coast Titans backup goal kicker. Who is it?
Someone messaged me and said, any chance both over goal kicks? And I was like, oh, I can get around that. Imagine goal kicking both over for a couple of weeks. Speaking of players that had to reshape our team, I definitely had to reshape mine. Heard the news that Liam Martin was potentially out for a week, about a week ago. So I was a betting man. I had all my chips on Red, and Red being IPAP. There was just no way he wasn't starting. There was no way he wasn't giving an option, especially with Scott Sorensen signing for the Bears. It was just second year under Ivan. Like, how could he not start? And obviously had that Simpsons meme where you can pinpoint the moment these heart rips out of his chest. That was me opening up my app at 4 o'clock and seeing number 15, Papali'i. I was shattered. But Liam Martin out for a week. Luke Garner starting with Scott Sorensen as well. And some Vegas fallout. Fletcher Sharp. Fantastic news for Fletcher Sharp. Looking like it's a 2-week injury. Back in round 3. So obviously out this week and then out round 2. So wonderful for him. Initially, mate, I think we said on our recap show on Sunday that I was leaning towards a sell. But I think with 2 weeks and it just being a PCL, best case scenario for this type of thing. So if you're a Sharp owner, I think you hold. I think you just pray that Parramatta do something next week as you play Jonah Pezzett in round 2 and just hope for the best. But Jonah Pezzett out for 2 weeks is fantastic. And music to your ears, mate. Maybe it's not. Maybe you'd prefer him to be ruled out for a couple of weeks because it makes your decision easier. But Scott Drinkwater is going to be managing ongoing rib cartilage concern. Obviously, got some injections over the weekend. I think the Magic Sponge boys, James and Brian, NRL Physio did pretty good analysis sort of talking about him from an injury standpoint. They both think he's a sell. I, from a SuperCoach standpoint, would like to wait another week, just see how it looks. He's going to have a week off with the Vegas and then obviously playing back 2 weeks later. But where are you at as a Drinkwater owner? Are you looking to sell? Because I assume the temptation after 2 games of football is Kalen Ponga's winning the Dally M by a record margin, obviously.
Yeah, I think if KP didn't look so good, I probably would have just been like, the logical part of me says, just hold on to Drinkwater, give him another week. He's still a gun, but this rib issue is a big issue. And, I trust, Brian and James on the Magic Sponge, and they said, look, they were happy to move off of him straight away. And it got me thinking like, oh God. And I've mentioned it to you boys as well. It's that mental gymnastics of if you hold him for round 2, doesn't look good. But then round 3, he's got the Gold Coast Titans at home. Am I going to sell Drinkwater at home to the Titans? I almost just feel mentally better off just selling him in round 2 before I even get to that point. So I'm honestly I'm all over the place, mate. I hate Ponga for looking as good as he did, because me and Ponga have had a good relationship in SuperCoach. I've always had him for when he goes big. So I felt extra filthy not having him for his 118. So, the pull is there. The pull is there to move on to Ponga. But I think the logical part of me says to give it a week.
Yeah, it just looks so involved. That was the main thing. Like, just from set 1, just was touching the ball so much. So it's hard, right? And I guess the caveat is if you hold Drinkwater and he scores, say, 90, you're like, okay, that's promising. But then you open the break even up at round 3 and it's probably like 140. And you're like, what are we doing? And that's when you have to make the decision, and it's tough to make that decision off the back of a 90-point game hypothetically, and playing like a bottom feeder team. So it's really tough. And probably not the most SuperCoach relevant news, but maybe a cheapie bit of turntables happening here. Zach Lomax sent to the gulag. Parramatta said, "Ain't going nowhere, buddy. You can just sit there until 2028." So. From a footy standpoint, love this. Love that Parramatta held their ground.
Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. Is that what you
Yeah, get ready to learn Chinese, buddy, for the next 3 years. Get ready to learn French as you go play for like Toulouse Rugby or something.
That's it.
But yeah, from a footy standpoint, love this. Love that Parramatta held firm on their ground. Zach Lomax will not be in the NRL until 2028, which potentially wheels up for Moses Leo in the centres. So he now enters the conversation. And not only does he enter the conversation, Aman, but he enters the build structure change because I don't think anyone's removing Chester to Marnie or Makasini for Moses Leo, but it's, do you remove that borderline mid 500Ks? Maybe you had a Sam Stone Street. You're like, Sam Stone Street to Moses Leo lets me do a whole lot more. So it opens up a lot. And we'll chat about that as the episode goes on. But we're going to be talking about the Team List Tuesday, winners and losers. And this is brought to you by Rugby League Fantasy Pro. In our opinion, at the 7 Tackle Set, the one-stop shop for all things new stats. It is still blasphemous that the NRL SuperCoach app has not changed over to show averages in any way, shape, or form, putting a real disadvantage for players. So Rugby League Fantasy Pro allows you to filter by pretty much any metric that you want. You can look at position graphs, you can look at try maps, you can look at how much a left edge averages against the Knights at Newcastle. Like, you can filter by anything. It is $1 a round when you use promo code INSIGHT26 at checkout. That is the place to be for all things serious SuperCoach stats. I know, Aman, you're not being paid to say it. I am being paid to say it, but I've been a user for many years. I know that you jumped on board. I know that you can attest to just how good the filters are. You can filter for whatever you want. And there's been some plenty of some niche stats thrown up in the Discord, mate. But TLT, winners and losers. Let's start off with the Storm, my friend. And look, no surprises, but good to get confirmation. Suafa'alongo named at fullback, 511K, averages 58 in games over substantial minutes at fullback. You tempted. Obviously, you've got obviously Drinkwater, who's locked in. I would imagine for you, Keanu Keeney is a mainstay. Yep. He's not coming out of your build. So it opens up flex. Do you go 3-gun fullback? I know that you've been probably on the fence a little bit about like, if I had to have Fa'alongo, I don't hate it, but I'm not going out of my way to put him in my team.
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. I don't think he's a bad option at all. Like, how can a Melbourne Storm fullback be a bad option at SuperCoach 510K? It's just him as a player. Like, he's obviously awesome, but does he have the most conducive game for SuperCoach? Just, I guess I'm still in the camp of, remains to be seen. And in particular, now that I've kind of locked myself into that Drinkwater and Keanu Kinney's not going anywhere, I think just based on what we've seen already from 2 games in Vegas, the forwards are just, a great place to get value. There's plenty of good centers as well. I'm just thinking, do I even need to, like, for example, 511K, start of the year, Hopgood for like 6K more, probably is going to offer good values, named at prop as well. My brain is just thinking, spend that money and get a forward instead, at least to start off with. Let maybe Fa'alongo settle in. Generally, attacking points are slightly down in the opening rounds as well. But I still think Fa'alongo is absolutely a very viable pick. Some people out there may still, for very valid reasons, want to play this game for fun, not optimal points chasing, right? And for them, if it means chasing your outside backs, Kinney, Fa'alongo, gun fullback like a Reece Walsh, go for it. Absolutely. So I think he'll be good. I'm just not 100% convinced to have him from round 1.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like definitely not must have, but it's not a bad pick. It's a Melbourne Storm fullback, for Christ's sake, at 511K. Like, let's not overlook that. If Pappenhausen, even without the goal kicking, was 511K, his ownership would be probably 60%. So if you're keen on him, don't be put off by the outside noise. That's the main thing. Joe Chan and Ativalu Lasati both starting, confirmed, fantastic. Joe Chan, we expect, has the longest security, but in saying that, Storm have been quite cagey around Sean Bloor. We know that he's got the breach notice over his head thanks to the assault charge that he had last year. There's been some rumors speculating that he wants to be back in Sydney. I'm not going to entertain those, but I don't think Lasati is a terrible shout, especially if you didn't start with Couchman, right? If you didn't start with Couchman and you want the upside, I would definitely look at having Lasati in your team. Best case scenario, Sean Ball doesn't feature, and you have an 80-minute edge for 270K. fantastic. Worst case scenario, he's on the bench next week and you just trade to Ryan Couchman, who looks like an all-around stud. So, yes, you're making an early trade, but it's a cheapie correction. I think cheapie correction trades are fine early on. Jerome Hughes has been named despite an injury concern. But the big one, mate, and the reason I left this is because you put up some fun stats in our group chat using Rugby League Fantasy Pro. Use code Insight26 at checkout. Great segue. I'm glad that I haven't lost my hosting skills after a couple of years not hosting. But Moses Leo, goodness me, Moses Leo starts at center. More importantly, that frees up Nick Meaney to be on the wing. Now, firstly, let's have the Nick Meaney chat because Moses Leo is probably more interesting. But Nick Meaney on the wing, mate. You got some nice little cheeky stats to throw at us, especially with the goal kicking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, as someone who prides himself on his stats, it is so handy just having something that you can just chuck, press some buttons and it does everything for you, rather than the old days of going through NRL SuperCoach stats and just manually calculating everything through a spreadsheet, which I still do. Mate, but this makes it so much easier.
I would have tabs to cross-reference 3 players to make sure they all lined up and play. It was a nightmare. I'm glad that now we can filter it.
Yeah, it is nightmare. But yeah, so you got Nick Meaney, limited sample size of him playing on the wing for the Melbourne Storm. But there are 4 games where he did that and goal kicked as well. Pretty good showing. And again, these are on the corrected scores as well. So very much what we're expecting in the new stat system. Scores of 69 points, 75, 35, and 76. That score of 35 was against Penrith, and this is 2022. So we're talking, peak Penrith in the middle of the dynasty. Absolutely amazing defense and everything. I think if you look at, there's probably no team apart from maybe the Bulldogs that you'd say is kind of in that realm. I'd almost argue that there's no team currently in the NRL who could match that Penrith defense. So realistically, you're looking at a guy who would score mid-70s to low 70s playing on the wing, goal kicking. So I think there's a huge value proposition and a huge point of difference there in Nick Meaney if you're willing to take a flyer. No job security risks. He's either on the wing, center, worst comes to worst, he even goes to fullback. His goal kicking for the Melbourne Storm is generally not going to be that bad of a pick, but the wing definitely seems to show some encouraging numbers for him as well. So yeah, just extra head noise basically when selecting a team. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. We love to have ample stats at the click of a button, and Meaney's got some good ones there. This obviously opens up Moses Leo. So look, again, I think Moses Leo is probably the least enticing of all the cheapies, the Chesters, the Twos, the Macassinis, and the Fayamanis of the world. But I'll tell you what, it allows you to have, I can't believe we're saying this, 5 cheapie centre wings, when not 3 weeks ago, my cheaper centre wing was like Latrell Mitchell at 650K. It's funny how the turntables, as Michael Scott of The Office would say. What are your thoughts on 5 cheapie centre wings as a whole?
Look, I think it's very viable. And I think what we're seeing is it's not like some years gone past where cheapie centers, but these were just like wingers who had no work rate, were purely attack reliant. I think we're looking at a very different crop of cheapies. We already saw Setutu's got a pretty good work rate, show that in the trials. We know that Macassini's got a good work rate. Fayamani's got a good work rate. These are guys that you can probably play most weeks and actually are going to be okay. Tom Chester, who knew that he would get 62 points in base power in Vegas, right? So what's the harm in throwing in a Moses Leo, who I probably think doesn't have the work rate, but he's a center. We know that centers will benefit from the change in the stats system. Playing for a Melbourne Storm team, again, I just think it's completely viable, and it allows you to spend that money in your forwards if you want to try to go with a bit more solidity, because we know that the forwards should be better off in the new stat system. And if you're not sure yet about buys, and a lot of the popular players in center in the more expensive realms like your Latrells, they do have buys early on. So this could be even a way for you to try to manage that, because the Melbourne Storm don't have a buy for ages. You can just rotate through your cheapie centers, spend money on big forwards that won't have buys coming up, and then you can just kind of lock in 60 to 70 from them while you really get a good understanding of the landscape, and then you can really start to attack maybe your outside backs from like round 6 onwards. I think it's a completely viable strategy.
Yeah, I think it is worth noting as well, man. I think you make a really good point there that obviously round 2, if you have Stephen Crichton and you have 5 cheapie centre wings, you're playing 3 of them. In round 3, Manly have the bye. I would not imagine many people have Manly guys, but there's been some chat around Garrick. There's been some chat around Kohler, especially at centre now. And then in round 4, you obviously got the Bunnies. Now, not only are you going to have Trell out, but you're most likely going to have Dave Feeder, of course. Cam Murray's still very popular. Keon's quite popular. Cody Walker is obviously popular as well. So you're going to be very short in these weeks. I think the Roosters are in 5, and maybe the Sharks are in 5. Sharks are in 7, maybe.
Roosters in 5, and then you got Dolphins in 6. That's Herbie gone. Maybe a Cobbo. Sharks in 7. Like, you're going to have Titans in round 8. People are going to have...
You might not have a full strength team until like round 11. And then in round 12, you got the major buy. So it's like, you might have a full strength team for like 3 months. So as long as you're prepared for that with your 5 cheapie center wings, then that is the main thing. That is where you just need to look at it and be okay playing it short. It's also tough if you're one of the fortunate people who have vice captain Kalen Ponga and you're captaining big Hamasi Makasini. You're already at a loss, right? You don't have that flex to drop out. Like, you're already playing with 17 men while everyone else is playing with 18. So keep that in mind as well if one of these guys flops. The Eels, goodness me, 20 minutes in this podcast, we've gone through one team. Parramatta Eels. Greg Inglis, Storm Greg Inglis, aka Sean Russell in the trials, has been moved to the wing for the injured Josh Adokar. That sees new recruit Brian Kelly come into centre. Jonah Pezzett starts. No surprises there, but great to get the cheapie confirmation. And Jermaine Hopgood also starts at prop. Brian Kelly, mate, he was a guy that we really like on this podcast. I think the numbers for him speak really well. Would much prefer JSE to be outside of him. No disrespect to Sean Russell, but it's probably night and day between Adokar and Sean Russell in terms of finishing and try scoring ability. So probably cooling on Kelly just that tiny bit. I've got him in a couple of drafts, so happy to see him start. Pezzett, I'm not sure if anyone's spoken about him this preseason, but pretty underrated GP for people to look at.
Just 74% owned, no biggie.
26% of people take note. Jermaine Hopgood, mate, huge fan for me. I love him. I know you do as well. His numbers at prop at the back end of last year were fantastic. I think with the new stats, average 65 points a game at prop in the back end of last year. The bench is a weird makeup. You've got Dylan Walker, you've got Talon De Silva, so sort of 2 utilities. You've got Matt Dory, and then you've got a couple of other big bodies there. It's hard these days to get a real idea of like what a bench row is going to look like. But I would imagine it's probably Walker and De Silva both getting minutes with at least one middle as well. So that's, to me, spells good things for Jermaine Hopgood.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Dylan Walker will come in and play a bit of that maybe ball playing lock role. And then you also got Matt Dury, who was playing lock in the trials too. But yeah, Talon De Silva will definitely spell Riley Smith, friend of the show. So yeah, I think Hopgood is really good. And as you said, 65 average playing at prop in the new system compared to the entire season average of 55. There's an extra 10 points of value there. You got the dual status as well. I think Hopgood is actually a really good pick. And as we said, if you're not sure about, where do you want to, like if you're having the debate of a 17K center and a cheapie in the forwards versus like a Moses Leo and a Hopgood, I'd be saying go to the Hopgood and Leo route.
I feel very targeted right now because I may have messaged you this afternoon and said, would you prefer Justin Damien and say Joe Chan compared to or it'd be Faye Marnie and a Hopgood. So I feel quite targeted by that attack there, my friend.
I think I said Hopgood. So at least I'm being consistent. I'll double check myself to make sure I'm not just flip-flopping, but I'm pretty sure I said Hopgood.
For the Warriors, as SCWhisperer, that guy, he reported about 2 weeks ago that Jacob Laban would start, and Jacob Laban does start. Fantastic, like a Halasima off the bench. I guess I can reveal what I've been told now because it's been confirmed. But from what I've been told inside the club see Leka Halasima as more of a utility / back cover at the moment. There's quite a depth in what the Warriors see as top grade talent in their centers. So they drop off from their probably top 2 to like the next crop of guys that they're willing to play. Leka Halasima is going to cover that gap. That's not to say that Leka Halasima won't be playing in the back row. I can't sit here and tell you the minutes that Laban has. I'm sure you've got plenty of messages, mate. I've got plenty of messages this afternoon from people that are jumping off, say, Josh Paxton and being like, well, can we go to a Jacob Laban, possesses some really good upside, as you sort of were talking to me about today in the afternoon. But I just think there's so much uncertainty with minutes. If he was like 230K, of course, right? That's why I'm probably more keen on Ahawa Tau, Titans edge than I am like a Laban. Yeah. Arama Howe. Whereas Laban's 300K, right? And for 6K more, yes, he's a plotter. We know he sucks, but Joe Chan is looking like guaranteed for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Laban obviously presents so much more upside, but it's just hard when you got Leka nipping at your heels. We don't know what Kate Wells minutes are going to look like as well. Like, where are you at with Laban?
Yeah, I'm with you. And when you start getting to like that 300K, it's almost a guy that you start feeling like he should be playing as well. And yes, he looks like a great talent. I do think that there's more upside in him in SuperCoach points than a Joe Chan, who's given us pretty good sample size of being like a mid-40s guy when he gets 80 minutes. But Chan probably should be getting 80 minutes. And who's to say that Chan doesn't have a breakout year? Things can change for players as well. It only takes Hughes feeding him a couple of balls. He scores a couple of tries in the early rounds and he's off to the races making north of 100K. That's sometimes the benefit of these 80-minute guys. So I am of the view that Laban, I think, would be better for SuperCoach, but for the purposes of your round one team, more job security, I think Chan is probably where you'd go. And you can always correct that mistake. If Laban comes out and absolutely kills it, you can go Chan down to Laban. It's fine. So I think, I'm on the boat of, just probably Chan is slightly safer to start off with, albeit probably more boring.
Yeah, not to say that in 2 weeks' time we're not having this chat saying that like both Laban and Chan are essential. But for right now, I don't want to have a 55-minute Laban and a plotter in Chan. Like if that's the worst case scenario, like if Chan's putting up 42 points and Laban's playing 50 minutes, it's like disaster for it to have them both. All right, for the Roosters, confirmed. Obviously, the trials confirmed it, but it's good to get final confirmation that DCE is wearing the 6 and Sam Walker's wearing the 7. Benaya Olelu starts at 9. Trent Robinson in the pre-match of the final trial did come out and say that Benaya is going to be dominating that 9 role whilst Reece Robson is out, which obviously sparks a lot of debate and a lot of intrigue over Benaya because obviously Brandon Smith is out. That caused a lot of panic in the community, and Reece Robson's out. The time frame is unknown, right? The NRL physio is saying that he's hearing as early as 3 weeks, which is going to be crazy. And then the Roosters, like when it first came out, were like, oh, it could be up to 10, which is quite a big difference. I would imagine that we see Reece Robson in round 6, which only gives us 2 price rises for Benaya, which probably is something like 110K in 2 price rises. Is that worth it? Maybe. Is the risk that he goes onto the 6-man bench and then like comes on as an AE once every now and then and really stunts that cash growth? Also potentially. It's very clear that Robinson is not using Watson as the 9 these days. Like he'll use him maybe for spells, but I would suggest like if an injury happens early in the game, Benaya might come on and just play. Like if Reece Robson cops a HIA in like the 10th minute, would you be shocked to see Benaya come on instead of Watson? I wouldn't.
No, I think Watson is going to be more of a lock/9. He'll play a bit of both, but because you've got Blake Steep there at the moment, obviously Radley's out to begin the season, so there is a need to have someone at that lock position. And we know that Connor Watson, even he's a bit of a sneaky option at SuperCoach when he's at lock, but off the bench, probably not really an option to consider. I think Iwelu, you kind of said it. He probably gets about 2 price rises. You said 110K. I'm honestly thinking less than that. Because if you look at his numbers in his career where he's played games over 35 minutes, which I think is a reasonable estimation to make for him. His average is 36. And what is he priced at? Like something in the high 20s. It's not even 10 points of value there. So, like I don't know how much massive cash growth you're going to get. And then you may end up just trading back down to like a Brandon Smith. So I'd almost lean towards if you're just dead set want to run that cheapy hooker, you could just lock in Brandon Smith to save yourself that trade. I think that trade will be more worth it than possibly 90 to 110K.
100%. And that's, I think, I've put out the team that I've got so far. And that's the reason why I ended up going with Reed Marnie, because Reed Marnie's safe. Reed Marnie's going to be playing 80 minutes. There's no guarantee Brandon Smith is actually good. But if he is good, we get until probably round 7 to find out when he's on the bubble, which gives me plenty of time for Reed Marnie to maybe get to sort of 550 and top out, which is fine. Like we'll take that. And yeah, as you said, like with Benaya, I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes 45, 45, 45, 45 for 2 price rises of not a whole lot. And then therefore you're probably breaking even on the trade. And at that stage, if you're breaking even, you'd rather just have the trade in your back pocket. So he's probably a no-go from me, but I can see why people are doing it, especially if you didn't jump on Reed Marnie. Nat Butcher starts on an edge with Blake Steep starting at lock with no Victor Radley and Connor Watson benched. None of those guys are options. I just think the Roosters forward pack is so deep. The only Roosters forward that I'm really keen on would be Nafahu White or Angus Crichton, and that's probably it. For the Broncos, Corey Jensen overcomes the World Club Challenge HIA, does start at front row forward, and Jack G, the jet ski, wins over Albricks Tawa, who had like a lot of preseason hype about him potentially starting on an edge. And Brendan Piacora's injury is as bad as we first thought. I know he was on social media saying like, oh, no, I'm fine. The Broncos medical staff said he was out for quite a while. I'm probably going to back them. And it looks like they've held him back for a little bit. So before anyone puts in the chat, no, the answer is no. Don't even look at Jack G. Just don't.
Don't do it. What's that Michael Jordan ad? It's like, don't Stop.
Get
Get
some
help.
That's
That's how I feel after asking about Jack G.
Yes. Yeah, for the 5th year in a row. I'm starting to get that way about Brendan P. Cora whenever I see him pop up for other SuperCoach podcasts in the preseason. It's like Tamalolo. I feel like people finally gave up on Tamalolo in like 2024, but there was still like that 2-year period where people were like, what if? What if he's good again?
What if? Yeah. What if we get 2016 Tamalolo back or something?
Mate, what if? It's why we play this game. For the Panthers, Scott Sorensen starts on an edge over IPAP. I wish I had like the sad violin soundbite on standby, but like I was heartbroken. I reckon my manager walked past me at 4 o'clock and was like, Josh, why you look so sad? I said, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't understand what heartbreak feels like to see your boy, your preseason heartthrob just die in front of your eyes. So I'm going to have to go do some tinkering of my team because I was so confident. It was probably one of the most confident things. I was as confident that IPAP would start as the sun to come up tomorrow. I was genuinely like, I would have bet people large amounts of money that IPAP starts. That was written in the stars. And Ivan, obviously big fan of the show, just said we're gonna put him on the back burner. So I'm seeing a lot of people, like people may have picked him up in drafts. I picked him up in a lot of drafts, which is not bad, right? I think he's gonna average what he averaged last year. But it's like the value for classic was, oh my god. Remember what if? Remember Eels IPAP? What if we get him again? That was
2021, 2022 IPAP. The guy went from like 450k to like 800. He was an absolute god. He was so good. And it was like, you're an idiot if you don't have IPAP. And the year after, and he still goes out and averages 80. What happened to that man? I miss him actually. Now you know, he was so good.
Mate, the streets won't forget. Like, you know how we're like, obviously you're a big soccer fan. Like, you know, you get those throwbacks, and I follow a lot of these accounts, but like they'll just give you like old Barclays men, like love a good Rory Delap montage. I can't wait in like 15 years time just to see an Eels IPAP montage. Like he was a guy, but unfortunately for him, classic no go. If you have him draft, like it's fine. He'll probably still score like mid-50s. It's just not quite what you wanted. Luke Garner comes in for the injured Liam Martin. He'll be back next week, only a 1-week sideline for him. Kalani Going, friend of the show, friend of the SuperCoach community, on the bench. Goodness me, do not go there. I know a lot of people were like, oh, let's just go Going again. He did a great job for us last year. No, I reckon this could go terribly.
Yeah, no, number 17 jersey, and the other two being Jenkins and Freddie Lussick. I'd more likely think that Kalani Going is one who gets on as just a bit of a middle foot because they've got Cogger already on the bench as the number 14, like utility. Yeah. So I would think that Going gets off the bench, but I don't think he's going to be going too far in terms of SuperCoach point scoring. Cheesy pun, sorry. It could be a bit of an auto emergency nightmare. The duel's handy, but it was good when he was enough, not when he's coming off the bench and playing a handful of minutes. So, yeah, I definitely would be staying away.
I guess you could say when the going gets tough, the tough gets an AE nightmare. So, yeah, no from as the great Samuel Jackson once said, it's a no from me, dog. No, Randy Jackson said that. It's a no from me, dog. Randy Jackson. It's a no from me, dog. For the Cronulla Sharks, this is why I'm keen on Jesse Ramian. Sione Katoa, named despite that injury concern, overcomes it. I'm going, my tinfoil hat's on, mate. I think Kailero broke out because there was no Sione Katoa last year, so they went left heaps. Now there's no Ronaldo Militalo. Is Jesse Ramian going to be the 2024 Kailero? Potentially. And I might be prepared to pay $500K to find out. So we will find out. But the big Sharks news, Jesse Colquhoun starts at 13, which we expected. But again, great to have the confirmation. I've got no interest. I've got none. I think this is just Trap City written all over. Not Trap City, but I just think you're going to get to round 4 and be like, you're going to get to round 6 when Cam McInnes returns, and you're going to look down at Jay Colquhoun with a 44.6 average, and you're like, thanks, bro.
Do you know what his ownership is off the top of your head? It's
ridiculously high. It is about 40% too high.
46%. I was like,
that's
are you kidding
criminal.
me? 46% owned. I don't know if I'm missing something here, but I've not really been that. But I've not been on that keen on him all preseason long. He just gives me like ultimate plotter vibes, which maybe is the way the world is 2026 NRL SuperCoach. But as you said, he's going to eventually McInnes will come back. And mate, that's a big bench. Like his minutes will be capped. He's not going to be going and doing like a Ryan Couchman playing astronomical minutes all of a sudden, in my opinion anyway. Like Talakai, Rudolph,
Yeah.
Kafusi, Uele. That's a big bench. Like,
Bro,
yeah, I'd much prefer
he's a
Flegler,
plotter.
Paseka. I'd much prefer those two instead of Colquhoun. But anyway, shout out to the 46% ownership. Maybe you got something right that I don't, or me and Josh are missing.
If you do, mate, Jesse Colquhoun try, he's going to feed generations, and I'm going to be sitting here looking like an absolute mug. But
yeah,
look, I look at his numbers, right? I look at his numbers when he was asked to start last year, and he scored about 43 points. I look at his numbers in like really tough games in the finals where the ball was kept in and there's a lot of grind back and forth. And Phil Blake had good numbers. Other prop forwards had good numbers. Like Billy Burns was fantastic. And you look at Jesse Colquhoun, he scores 42 points. I'm like, it's 10 points of value, but sometimes you're like, it's a bit shit because he's a price for like you have to play him. If you're picking Jesse Colquhoun to not put a reserve tag on him, it's like let's just do something else with the money. Just get a bunty. Like just save 100K and get bunty and don't play him. But yeah, it's as the great Randy Jackson once said, it's a no from me, dog. To the 46% of you that have him, I put the kiss of death on him. So he's gonna score a double and he'll score 100 points.
Yeah, just wait for it. Yeah, crash ball.
For the Titans, mate. Devastating to see that Siali Faimani wasn't named, but it was great to see Siali Ili Faimani named. For about 10 minutes, my SuperCoach app had him with the red dot, and I got so many messages being like, he wasn't named. You said he would be named. And
mate, I was very fragile because I was like, it's 4 p.m. Like, it's ultimate chaos.
No, you didn't get faded. Did you get faded?
No, because I was like, surely this is just a name thing. But when I saw here the little red circle and I didn't see the green tick, part of me said, have I been telling people about, is there like a twin Faimani?
This guy's a must-have.
About the wrong dude. Is there another one? Is the actual Faimani who starts like 350K and not relevant? I did have a mini microscopic panic attack. Then I double checked. I'm like, okay, it's just a different first name. I think we're fine.
No,
we're cool.
I test obviously, yeah, we're big soccer fans, and like a lot of Brazilian players, South American players might only go by one name, right? Like they might just go by like Willian from Chelsea, right? But his name is huge.
Yeah.
Whereas like it happens in EPL all the time. El Hadji Malik Diouf, right? Just went by Malik Diouf. And like game one, it was listed, he wasn't starting. And everyone's like, what the hell's happened? It's like they just haven't put his full name in. Don't stress. But yes, no. Mini Brian To'o has been named to debut. No qualms over there. There was a bit of panic because people saw the red dot, but it's all fixed up now. He's named to start. Fantastic. Jaden Campbell, as we said at the start of the show, mate, out 2 to 4 weeks with Lachlan Ilias stepping in, new recruit to fill the boots there for the Titans. Arama Howe starts over Josh Paxton, who has been named on the extended bench. Chris Randall at the 13 and Cooper Bye finds himself a bench role. Let's go back to Arama Howe because, right, the timeline is strange because we know that Josh Paxton had suffered. I definitely know for a fact he went off with a HIA in the All-Stars game. I believe it was a Cat 2 past it. Then the following week in the trial, failed a Cat 1. Deemed a Cat 1 and ruled out for the game. Obviously missed training for a week, but from what I'm to be told from people at Titans training, he returned to training last Wednesday, so would have had 6 days to be up to speed. Has been named on the extendeds. I don't have like sources galore out there. I've got an okay rep at the Titans who said he's back at work on Thursday. If I hear anything, I will obviously post it. But I'm very, very curious if this is one on merit because there was a report from the AAP, so the Australian Associated Press, back on the 15th of January, which said that there was a 3-way battle between Adam Christensen, Josh Paxton, and Arama Howe for this left edge spot, for this right edge spot. So for me, it's not like out of the clouds. This is not out of the blue. Like he's obviously been in the fray. Seems like Paxton may have been favoured the last couple of weeks, but tell you what, if we get confirmation this is one on merit, front row forward right now, Sangster has confirmed we'll get dual. 235K. Yep. So hard to pass up.
Very hard to pass up. Yeah, I've put him straight in because I even thought about, look, worst comes to worst. If you are able to, I think most people should have the duels now with a Mooney. You know, we'll get on to Tino, of course, in this segment as well when we're discussing the Titans. But if you need to, if it goes pear-shaped, just the same price as Ryan Couchman. If Ryan Couchman goes out and kills it, you can just make that swap. As you said before, it's like a cheapy correction trade. It's not the worst thing in the world to do. I just can't see not starting with him. And on the thing about winning on merit, like the Gold Coast Titans, when they publish their own team lists, it's just one sentence, but it says that Arama Howe has edged out Josh Paxton to start in the back row for Saturday's season opener showdown
I didn't
against the
see this.
Sharks
This
in
is hot.
Sydney. It
This
says
is
that
hot. I didn't
he's
see
edged
this.
him out, which made me think that I think he's got the
Hey,
job on
pause.
merit. Yeah. So
Pause.
I'm happy to send it to you. But
No,
but
of
yeah,
course, I would definitely love to see that because that's going to make for some good content. But again, like I remember putting a tweet out in mid-January of, the headline. If you go to the Gold Coast Titans website, How wins Edge battle as Hannay unveils fresh faces against Sharks.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like right there, and I'm like, this is coming out from the club. So I'm like,
play "I'm a Man" by Aloe Black. Stand up now,
Yeah.
and face. Just like that the NBA reaction GIF. I'm definitely posting that to Twitter as we speak. Wins Edge battle. What a
confirmation bias. We love to see that. Yeah.
See, I'm getting a lot of messages. Look, I get a million messages a day. It's hard for me to reply to them all, but a lot of the messages were, "Oh, is Hal getting Jewel? Who's getting Jewel? What's happening?" I think Sangster confirmed that Tino's getting Jewel, Gilbert's getting Jewel, Hal's getting Jewel, and there's like a host of more. So, yeah, awesome to see. So love that. Sorry, I'm a bit sidetracked because the How News has definitely sent me for 6, but we'll get back on.
That's right. It's relevant, right?
Oh,
because we're talking about we're trying to determine the best cheapies and everything. We're trying to figure this. You literally went on a 2-minute thing of dissecting Josh Patson's return to the club, concussions and whatnot.
You're just like, hey, Titans just said he wins, so like it's simple.
I was just sitting there like, I'll let him finish this bit, and then I'll just tell him, hey, they said he's edged him out. So
yeah, no,
it's good news. It's good news for Hal, I think. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely retweeting that. So this is probably some poor audio content, but this is the beauty of a live stream and the beauty of someone that does content as well, because you need to balance both of them. And we're using the old screen snipper tool. And we'll get on to Manly because Joey Walsh, after a really good preseason and just some really, really impressive trials and some massive raps on him, has won an edge spot, which is fantastic. I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, I wrote these notes early. Is there a Z Docker Clay floating about?
There isn't. I actually got that wrong in my stream. I just mentioned that Docker Clay was on the bench, but he's not there. No, site.
Wheels up,
Jake Simpkin, on the 6-man bench. Wheels up, Jake Simpkin. You got Joey Walsh, Kobe Hetherington, Ethan Baltimore, Nathan Brown, and then so that's 3 forwards, and then Walsh has a bit of utility, and then Clayton Falalo and Brandon Wakeham, who are also like kind of outside backs. So I think it looks like it's gearing up for Simpkin to have a 80-minute role. Yeah,
no, as close to it. I think it's tough to ask a young kid in Walsh to come in and play in the middle when he's a child. So yeah. And good to see young upstart rookie unknown T. Travojevic named after not featuring in any of the trial football as well for Manly at the back there. I think good things of him. Good footy player, that kid. So if you're on Turbo, yeah, I think Manly were just holding him back. Like there's no need for Turbo to be playing games he doesn't need to. So he's named. For the Milk, the Raiders, Ethan Sanders named at halfback. Fantastic to see. We have Owen Paddy dropped for Jaden Brayley. But the big one, mate, not Miles, Noah Martin, named as Matty Nicholson is on the extended bench. Worth noting, did deal with the shoulder subluxation in that final trial. I'll bet my house that Noah Martin is not ahead of Matthew Nicholson in the pecking order. I'm quietly confident that English international is not ahead of a man who has not played before, or played very rarely. I think Matty Nicholson. I think the word is that him and Timoko will come back through grade or come back through cup, which just rules Noah Martin out. Absolutely, there's no reason to be going Noah Martin. The only Martin that should be in your team is Miles for the enough variety. But yeah, don't go Noah. And if you have Matty Nicholson in like draft, then just put him on the bench. He'll be back in a week or two.
Yeah, just on that, Stuart basically said with Timoko and Matty Nicholson that he wanted to give them a week in cup, basically just to continue building their fitness because they had a couple of injuries, I think, or issues in preseason. So I'm not expecting Martin, unless he comes out and scores a hat trick, to kind of retain that job. So I think Nicholson will go straight back in. And this is also interesting for Nicholson because I think he was someone that some people were looking at. If Hosking's on that bench and they've just put Noah Martin in, suggests that Nicholson will be the 80-minute guy. So it looks pretty good for Nicholson, but not for Noel Martin. I wouldn't be going there.
I do believe Simi Sasagi in like one of the fan days. I think one of the Raiders like content page or fan pages said, "Oh, like how's the team looking?" Blah blah blah. I think Simi Sasagi said that it's Hudson Young and Matt Nicholson as the edges, and I think the value that Hosking provides Raiders through the middle was just immense last year. I thought he was really good in the middle. So Ricky sees him as that. And you would imagine that, like, if Matty Nicholson was out of favour, that Zach Hosking would be on there, which to me just says, hey, Hosking, your role is to play in the middle on the bench. Don't want to take you out of that. We'll just put Noah Martin there for a week and go for the best. Also, good timing. Opened up Rugby League 26 the first time about 6 months the other day. Started to play career mode with Noah Martin just because I don't know why. I just picked him, and now he's getting a run. So shout out to my boy.
There you go. Just one thing quickly on Manly. Sorry, we also mentioned this was like a 200k front rower that people were looking at. Is it Simeone Laife?
Yes.
How you pronounce it? He's not been named, so I wonder if that's. I think he had a HIA, so maybe that's something that will come in. But again, that doesn't really impact a Simpkin.
No, so I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if we get to round 7 and he hasn't played a game of football because Manly have no one, and he's really good. So Manly are going to suck this year. Sorry, Manly fans. I think you guys know that. That's coming from a Tigers fan, man.
Rebuild.
You know how people like say that like the gays have like a gator, like they can see like, oh, if someone's like gay, they just got that sixth sense. I support a shit team, so I can see the other shit teams. Like it's just like a sixth sense I've got. Like I can see Manly stink. Yes, poo radar. I can see that they stink because I have a stinky team. So you guys stink. I think you guys know that. So I'd imagine that he's going to be a big bright spot for you guys as the season progresses because he looks an unreal talent. Sucks he didn't get named round 1 because he was like a cheapie that people were sort of hoping on. But maybe you don't want like a 20-minute plotter off the bench to start, which is interesting because we didn't really talk about Cooper Bye, but he's on a bench role. But I think the upside for him is just far bigger than it is for a guy like Simeone. For the Dolphins, Hamiso at fullback with Trey Fuller on the bench. Yuck. Just wheels down Trey Fuller, wheels down Ben Dobbin. Bad day to be him. Someone comment on the unless Jermaine Asako is asked to go play on the left this year. Someone Cobbo's named on the left wing, which is fantastic. Tom Gilbert and Tommy Flegler, both Tom squared, named a front row forward. Can get around this. This is hot. Love this. This Dolphins pack though is a poison chalice. They're so deep, but no interest in any of them. I have no interest in Flegler. I think he'll average the most this year out of like Paseka, Colhoun, and him. But I think for the first like 6 rounds, he's probably not the guy. I'd probably just rather go Paseka. I feel like he's like the second best average for the whole entire year and the second best average for the first 6 rounds. So I just think he's probably the guy to put in there. Morgan Knowles at 13 with no Max Plath and Kurt Donahue at 9 with no James K. I know that you're not a sicko up at 4 a.m. watching the Lee Leopards play the St. Helens these days. Unfortunately, I am. Morgan Knowles, he's just a toiler. Like he's just a really, really solid footballer, like a good 7 out of 10. He would need 65 minutes for me to be keen, just from what I've seen of him in the Super League. Good footy player. You'll enjoy watching this year because he'll just get stuck in. Just imagine like a young Gerbo, but probably not quite the work rate of like a young Gerbo. Just puts his head where you don't want to and makes a bunch of tackles, but a guy that I'm not overly keen on for the Dolphins.
The bench is pretty light on, at least for this week. Again, there's no Max Plath, so he'll come back in at some point. But Schneider, Keeley, Kafusi, and Trey Fuller, there's like 2 outside backs there or 2 utilities. So I think this week maybe a good week. Yeah, just long term. You know that the Dolphins have got heaps of good middles.
It's more James K. When James K comes back, Donahue can provide so much value. Then you've obviously got Lemuelu can play through the middle if Keeley comes on, and then you've also got Max Plath to come back as well, which I think Max Plath was desperate to play this week from all reports, but the Dolphins just held him back for a week. And last but not least, my friend, probably the most SuperCoach relevant team, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, already applying for exemptions to get players in. So they're thin. They're thin. Unfortunately, Jamie Humphries out. Mate, Heffron.
What is happening?
Boycott Heffron. Obviously, Jamie Humphries out for the first 2 weeks with suspension, and Jonah Glover picking up that fractured jaw off the back of one El Leilua. And so exemption was being made for Ashton Ward to come in and play 7. Bronson Garlick as the 9 with Brandon Smith ruled out for 2 weeks. It's not 2. It's going to be round 5. I would be shocked if we see him before round 5. And Ewan Aiken, the big one, mate. Ewan Aiken named over Tallis Duncan. No interest in SuperCoach. If you're a fantasy player out there, huge relevance for Ewan Aiken in fantasy because he does have that center duel, and center in fantasy sucks. But yes, Ewan Aiken over Tallis Duncan is a big one. It's definitely a choice by Wayne Bennett, but no relevance from SuperCoach for me.
Yeah, no relevance. I think I wasn't that keen. I know some people were keen on Duncan if he was named to start. But of course, now that that's not the case, I think that kind of kills him as a bit of an option anyway. So yeah, it's really for Feeder and Keon, I think, are the big ones from that pack that you'd be taking a good hard look at. I know Cam Murray is kind of popular as well. I'm not so keen on Murray to start off with. I just think he'll get eased back into it. They need him for the entire season. They can't afford to risk him. So although I say that, he played that one game at the back end of last year. I don't know why. But that's just, I guess, the Rabbitohs medical staff just doing whatever they feel like by the look of it. But I think, yeah, on the Duncan Aiken thing, SuperCoach-wise, doesn't really shift the needle too much for me. But yeah, of course, super relevant team this year in the Bunnies.
Yes. Let's quickly wrap up some questions. If I can get my thing up. It is brought to you by our Patreon. Again, need to plug it one more time. I have 9 months worth of physio coming up. So if you guys could sign up to the Patreon to help me fund that, that would be fantastic. In all seriousness, helps us keep the lights on, helps us keep subscriptions running, and gives us some motivation to give you guys as close to daily content as we can. Mate, question time. I'm going to throw these ones to you. I will put them up on the screen, and we can answer them together. Will Miles Martin lose his spot next week to Matty Nicholson? I think we've confirmed that is the case.
Yeah.
J-Dog says, Josh, I had Cotter. What were your thoughts? Now, obviously, big Ruben Cotter podcast out of the blue. I was influenced by Rugby League Fantasy Pro and one SC Brain about his stats at lock. Minutes were there. Minutes were great. That's probably the main thing for me. I'm just keen on those. A lot of ball moving side to side in that Knights Cowboys game. You see, like, Lucas had 70 BP. You had McEwen had a bunch of BP. You had Sam McIntyre score like 80 points. You had, just Lukey put up 60 tackles or 48 tackles, something like that. So a lot of ball out the edges. So if you have Cotter, I wouldn't be too concerned. What about you? Do you have anything to add, or you don't care enough?
To be honest, I didn't really care too much about Ruben Cotter. He's kind of one of those players who I think I've given enough thought of. He's a good footy player. SuperCoach-wise doesn't do it for me. So when I started spot 50, I was just like, this is the most least impactful thing to me, SuperCoach-wise.
This is the standard. Jamie Cameron Leary says Brandon was probably home contemplating his selection of Kelmer at Para. Absolutely, he still is. Lyle, long-term follower of the show. What are your thoughts on buying Dewey now that my VC has popped off? Yes. Even better.
Absolutely.
You just captain just punt the position for the week. Absolutely. Love that one.
100%.
Steezers, can I get some clarity around my pod Howarth on TLT? Is he even a goated pick? I don't know if goated is the right word, but he is a pick.
He's a pick.
He's a pick. He's fine. He's young. He's improving. He's at Melbourne. They're a good team. Centre gets a bump, so could be a good pod. Jonathan King. Opinion on trading Paxton to Lasati with the intention of going to Ryan Cashman if he flops? Yes. I feel like Lasati now with Ryan Cashman is a risk-free investment. You're playing with house money.
Need to be aware you need to be aware that it will still cost you a trade, but that's with anyone that you don't have if you are thinking about moving to Couchman. So Lasati at least will get you a decent score because he should be
a cheapy correction trade. A correction trade will cost you a trade regardless, right? That's obviously what a hot take. One trade will cost you a trade. Fantastic insight. But worst case scenario for Lasati, he scores you 50 points this week and then you piss him off next week. Best case for Lasati is these Sean Bloor rumors are true and he plays 80 minutes on the edge for 270K and you just punt someone else to get Couchman. To me, that's a risk-free investment. So that's where I'm looking. 13_AJ. Any news if Garrick or Foggs is kicking for Manly? I believe Fogarty has confirmed that he is.
Yeah, I think they said that Fogarty would be kicking. Yeah.
Shout out to your YouTube display picture. Big fan of Drake May. Big Patriots guy. 13_AJ again says, I want to say a huge thank you to you and the lads in the community, the Discord, and the Patreon. Helped me out heaps. Well, that's a glowing review. If I definitely didn't pay him $12 to say that, but no, thank you, AJ. Love that you get involved, and I love to be able to help you out whenever you have questions, mate. So if you want to be like AJ, link in the description. Check out the Patreon for all things more, and Aman's Patreon as well. Steezers, I think we are on a high from Vegas with our Cheapies scoring so well. This came through when we were chatting about 5 center wing Cheapies. Absolutely, we are thinking that these center wing Cheapies are a lock, a mainstay. They're not going to be. They're going to disappoint us, but.
I'm just waiting for next. I'm just waiting for next week. Then we can bring out the Steve Naismith. We've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. I'm just waiting for that after all these sheeps flop.
Tom Chester puts up like 19 BP after putting up 60.
Yeah, we all got baited round one, and then it just falls flat in our face. I can see it happening already.
Fisher, good to see you back, my friend. I remember your username from last year, so good to see you back again for another year. I got the hop goat in. I'm ready for him to put up a 30 minutes now. Yeah, what I'm really looking forward to is him playing 20 minutes at hooker and then not coming back on again for the rest of the game.
Oh,
that was fun.
What was going on there?
That was
what
fun.
Was happening? Yeah.
J-Dog, once again, thoughts on going Ramian to Leo and Keeney to Turbo? I like the Turbo shout. Don't love that it cost you Keeney. If we can get Turbo in another way, that'd be hot. But yeah, not for Keeney.
Not at the expense of Kenny. Nah, we haven't even spoke about him, but I think he's just a must, surely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Fisher said, Garner over iPad sent me. Brother, me too. I was a very depressed man at 4 o'clock at my office desk, which was sad. Luis Ross says, anyone notice that Lasardi's name is in 12, which is the right side? Yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into that.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter so much.
Conspiracy theory, Lasardi's a big boy, Eli Katoa's a big boy. Those had the 12s made for big men. And they were like, oh, well, we just got to get even Katoa's jersey because it's not going to fit anyone else. But no, I think it's been confirmed. I think the Storm CEO confirmed that Chen is the replacement for Eli Katoa. So I'm not reading too much into that. Two chances. The real question is, will Ramian pass to his winger? I hope not, as an owner. I hope he just dummies and goes every chance he gets. And the last one, my friend, Fresh Prince. Good to see you back, my friend. You were a massive supporter of us last year, so thank you for being back. Is Herbie running at that side? And this came up when we were talking about the Ashton Ward and Ewan Aitken side. And yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he would be running at that right side. Yeah. So he'd be running at Whiten and Campbell Graham, but Herbie. He'll get his points. I think you're a fader.
I am a fader. I'm a fader. Go back and listen to our hot takes episode. I said Herbie to average under 70 for the first month. So putting my eggs in the basket if he pops off the rest of the season, but I can be like, steady start slow. But mate, thank you so much. I know that I said to you today, I need you for 40 minutes, and we've gone for nearly an hour. So I appreciate the extended stint. Mate, it's like you're Royce Hunt. And Terrell Majors had a HIA, and Benji said, Royce, I know you played 20, but we need you to put in 40 today. So I really appreciate it, my friend.
I'm doing it. Yeah, that's it. That's a bit better than Damien Cook in the centers performance.
Cook in the centers was good, bro. Like he was good in the centers.
Stitched up. He got stitched up.
To be fair, I did give you the first comparison of Nico Hines off the bench, like very late last minute, which I thought was a bit tough, bit of an insult.
Yeah, I was like, surely even better than that. Is that the same Nico Hines that got absolutely dusted by Munster? Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
Before I let you go, mate, how did you describe TLT? Like, for me, I don't think it was too big. Like, iPad was just a pod for me, but I don't think anything massive really changed for me.
No, I'm with you. I think nowadays I feel like we get more and more news ahead of the big kind of reveals. I think we can generally be pretty on the ball when we get trials and things. Probably the thing that I most was surprised by was Patson. I think I was pretty certain that Patson would be the one. So that changed things obviously quite a bit. But otherwise, aside from that, it was, a couple of random ones like a Noel Martin and stuff, but understandable. Generally was pretty, not as seismic of a TLT as previous years, but still leaves us with plenty of headaches and question marks. Who would have thought 5 cheapie centers, 2 cheapie halfbacks, all these cheapie front, like where are we spending our money? I don't know.
Bro, go back and look at my first team reveal. It was Val, Eero. No, with Herbie. It was Herbie, Val, Eero, Trell. And I was like, this is the year for big center wings. But to your point about getting more info, I remember. So my first year of SuperCoach was 2016, and that doesn't seem like a long time ago. But even then, trial footy was like still quite heavily gatekept. It was like still sports section of the newspaper type stuff. Like it wasn't until maybe 2019, 2020 where trials became like a thing. And yeah, you just get Teamless Tuesday, first round of the year, and you'd be like, who the fuck are half these people that are named? So yeah, it's I feel like we're a lot more clued in now. But yeah, again, guys, thank you so much. Today's Christmas Day for SuperCoaches. Teamless Tuesday, round 1 is the biggest day of the year. It's a little bit different now. It's like like now if your parents get a divorce and you have 2 Christmases, right? You have the first one and the second one. It's not quite the same because you got the endorphins hit from the first one, which being Vegas, but it's still a big day. It's still a big day. So no, it's great. And again, thank you to Aman for stepping in at the last hour when both my co-hosts bailed on me at the final hour. It's good to have you as a call up, my friend, and thanks for putting in the double stint today.
No, all good. I'm gonna go have some tea and rest my voice now. I think it's been a big stint, but no, appreciate you having me on as well. And pleasure to be on. And yeah, it is the most fun time of the year, round one, when everyone's got their hopes and dreams. Can you win the 50K? So yeah, this is when everything's at its most exciting. It's the best.
And just to wrap up, I know that we committed to daily uploads. We're still committing to that. Normal scheduling would be buy, hold, and sell coming out at lunchtime on a Wednesday. Again, I don't have Maddie with me tonight, and I'm not going to force Aman to record a buy, hold, and sell video with me. So we'll probably do that tomorrow night as a live stream, as a one-off. But then moving forward, it'll be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. With Friday, Saturdays off, it'll just be tomorrow night will be a live stream for buy, hold, and sell as a one-off thing because no one was here tonight. So that's the order of play. Once again, thank you to Aman. Guys, please go check him out in the comments. Go check him out in the description. Go subscribe. He does some incredible deep data insights where you will get much more polished SuperCoach, less vibes. This is a vibe show. Aman will actually give you some good picks.
Less vibes.
No, but like decent picks. Not just Jesse Raymond is in a contract year. Good player.
That's true. But see, I think that's where I missed. That's why I need to listen to you guys as well, because I'm just like, yeah, this guy averaged this in X many minutes. That's going to do that. Yeah, that's all good. Sometimes like, hey, it's a contract year. He needs to play well. Just get him. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I completely missed that. Okay. So yeah, no, it's good to, the vibes is definitely important. Don't get it wrong. But no, I appreciate the shout out as well.
In about 4,000 questions tonight. Jules will probably be tomorrow. Probably like 11 to 2 o'clock tomorrow. They'll be done before Thursday. They always are. Stop stressing. Thank you guys. You've been watching the 7 Tackle Set podcast. TLT recap round 1. It's in the books. Our teams are locked in. Let's go. Once again, Aman, thank you so much. We'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one.